Live alive and good to go. Just seeing if it goes live here. It does. Oh, no. Not quite. Still hosting. Still hosting. I'll pull this up so I can get chat. Just playing some music right now. Potentially, is that coming up? I am totally streaming right now. Ah, there I am. Yes, I am totally streaming right now. Awesome. All right. That's banging. That's dope. We're gonna turn down the music. Hey, John, how you doing? Ah, perfect. Just went live. I'm gonna hang out here, just listen to a little bit of music. And we're just kind of see if we can get a couple people, a good number of people coming in. Oops, pull up my. I think I just turned that off. See if we can get a good group of people coming in, and then we'll get started with everything. So we'll wait a little bit, a couple seconds, and we'll kind of see. I don't need this to be that. Oh, wow. We already have a good amount of people here. That's awesome. That's really cool. All right. Maybe we'll give it a couple more minutes. Just kind of chill. Let me pull up where my questions are going to be on or where I'm going to start. Just going to start here, blank page. If before I kind of really get into it, before we get a good amount of people in a couple minutes, if anybody just has any starter questions, feel free to send it my way. So I got my drink here, my perfect way to end the night, perfect way to end the day. So hi there. I play off support for my team. Oh, perfect. Questions right away. I love it. I play off support for my team. San Moira, Anna, 2.9K, and I'm looking to set goals for my personal improvement. What would you say are the value expectations of an off support for a team, and what are some good quantifiable goals I can set to measure my improvement? That's actually a really good question. So every team is inevitably going to be different with what it values in which players. But when you're talking team Overwatch, one of the things that's very important, I'm going to talk about it soon, I guess, when I get started, quote unquote, is communication. So one of the things that my off supports for my team, so generally when you're talking support positions, there's two positions. You have a main support and an off support. Now, when it comes to communication, one of the things that supports are generally tasks with are tracking ultimates. Sometimes it's your main support, sometimes it's your off support. One of the things that I really look for in supports in general is the ability to accurately track enemy team ultimates, as well as the ability to kind of almost take themselves out of the game and identify problems that the team is having as the game is being played. Because as we know, it's very easy to kind of play the game and think, all right, I did everything perfect, or our team did everything perfect, and we just couldn't get past it. And then, you kind of look back at the video, or, someone else tells you, well, you guys actually really didn't do everything perfect. There was this you could do, that you could do, and whatnot. Actually, let me pause this, because I think we're good. We're going to kind of get into it now. And, oh, you actually could have done this, but that's kind of after the fact. So I think one of the most valuable things that supports can provide, if they're not, specifically, fragging out or trying to put up heal numbers is being able to track enemy team ultimates really, really accurately, as well as being able to kind of dissect the game as it's happening. And the way that I would work on those two, it might not be easy to quantify, I guess. Quantifiable goals are very difficult because Overwatch isn't really a game of quantities per se. But, when it comes to like alt tracking, kind of one of the things I like to do is I like to put on like a pro match, right, where it has, if you're looking at the screen up top, it has all of the ultimates up here. One of the things I like to do is I like to cover this little section, with like a strip of paper or something, and then watch the game with no sound so the casters don't kind of ruin it, and then kind of look at the game and go, all right, watch for a minute and a half, pause it, and go, all right, Genji has ultimate, Sombra has ultimate, Ana has ultimate on this team, that team, the other thing, and then open up the paper and see how close you got, and then, get tons of different games and see if you can do it that way. It's a really good way to train it. Another good way is obviously just to work on it in-game. Playing quick play, one of the things that I think people try to do when they try to track ultimates is they try to track 6 all at once, which is a very difficult thing to do. You can't really track 6 ultimates, without proper practice. So what you should do is you should pick one character on the enemy team, whether it's, your opposite number, the other healer, a tank, a DPS, anybody, and just focus on them. And, okay, do they have ult? If not, how close are they? And then, as you get better, you'll do one person really well. Then, all right, let's do 2 people. Let's do a tank and a DPS. All right, let's do that. Once we get that accurate, then let's go 3 and 4 and 5, and eventually you'll do 6. So it's about kind of training your muscle memory and being able to do that. And then, you can do kind of the same thing when it comes to like dissecting the game. Just kind of watch games and really go in depth with some notes and say, all right, why didn't this push work? What happened? Was there, an ult that went wrong? Was it an ability? Was it their positioning? See if you can dissect that. And if you can start kind of getting better at almost coaching, or not even coaching, just kind of like looking at the game and really being able to break it down into its base components, then during the game, you'll be able to, actually see that as it's happening a lot easier than your teammates might. And that's why players like Elk are like super valuable, because he's basically a coach on the field. Players like Kabaji, the reason they can talk through what they're doing is because they already know what's going to happen. They get sometimes, a lot of times you'll hear Overwatch League players say, I should have done this, when a move they did seemed pretty good already. It's because they can see beyond what's happening in front of them and see kind of around the whole battlefield and know what they did wasn't as valuable as something else they could have done. And if you're kind of able to do that, or start to learn to do that, you can become invaluable to your team. As for quantifiable goals, when it comes to like Zen and Ana, obviously aim is huge. So just constantly practicing your aim. Set goals for yourself in terms of what you want your accuracy to be, how many kills you want to get in a match. Because, when it comes to those supports, what they're best at is, it's okay, they can heal, let's add something to it. That's when their extra value comes out. Like, why is a diamond Ana not as good as a GM Ana? It's like, okay, well, maybe the aim's not quite there, but like besides that, the diamond Ana may just focus on healing, or may focus on healing at the wrong time or damage at the wrong time. Whereas that GM Ana, all right, he can heal when he needs to, but he also knows exactly when to flick to damage, to start getting the value out of the other parts of Ana's kits. Is anting here a good idea? Is it not? Should I have saved it for my team? This, that, and the other thing. You want to be able to add value with your characters. With Zenyatta, okay, I'm healing. Okay, I have trance. I need to do more damage, right? Because you can get picks. Those can change the fight. You build your ult faster. That can change the fight. Things like that. Timing. How quick do I charge my ultimate? How much healing am I get per minute? Try to increase those numbers as much as you can. Practice hitting your sleep darts if you're playing Ana. Practice going for heads with Zenyatta. Things like that. Things that are raw numbers, accuracy, healing numbers. Just try to amp those up as much as you can. And when it comes to that, it's just about time that you want to put into it. You know, go into free-for-all and play Zen. Go into Ana Paintball, play Ana. You know, get better at those heroes. But, you know, the main thing is with healers is very difficult because a lot of it is unquantifiable. But if you want to look for something that is quantifiable, accuracy, you know, ability to add more that your character can give, and then, you know, obviously the things I talked about earlier with the communication and the ult tracking. So, yeah, it's tough to quantify that because you can't say, oh, I got it right, I got it wrong, you know, without watching the whole thing. But, you know, kind of breaking down a program is a really, really good way to do that because you can see everything from that bird's eye view. You're really able to take everything in and see, like, okay, I watched that Ryan get a 4K Fire Strike or something. I know his Shatter is going to be coming up soon. And then, you know, cover that strip, uncover it, be like, you know, I got it right. I was pretty damn close. Just practicing those ult tracking. That'll make you invaluable to teams. Like, a team with a good ult tracker and planner is so huge, and it's why I push it very aggressively with my teams. I push being able to track ultimates and being able to make effective plans, and like, and I did want to talk about it a little bit, you know, like the difference between, you know, Diamond and Plat teams and GM teams. One of the things that I do is when I'm coaching, when I'm in a scrim, you know, when I'm sitting down by my screen watching, you know, prepping to scrim, getting ready for our tournaments and stuff, I'll, you know, let them know, like, we already know before the game goes in, like, what we're going to focus on this scrim. But when that you know, when the start goes, when they start loading up their heroes, I don't say anything, because players need to be able to, you know, learn and do things on the fly. Because if you just have a coach in your ear the whole time, you know, gripping his mic and be like, they have EMP, they have a Sombra, you need to switch, or any of that kind of stuff, then they're not getting value. They don't know when they have to switch. They just know they're being told to switch. They haven't decided, okay, this is going to be a good time to switch. They've been told it's going to be a good time to switch, and they don't get it in their head why they need to switch. It's about learning the game rather than being told how the game is played. Like, the best coaches are going to be able to teach you why they do what they do and then how to do it on their own. So that's a long-winded answer to your question. Does anybody else have any questions before I kind of move into what I wanted to talk a little bit about as just kind of a general discussion? No problem. So I'm going to just write this quick at the top where everybody can see. This is where people will be able to see. So this first hour, which we still have plenty of time, we're going to be doing it's just a little Q&A. Q&A. Actually, let's just do a plus there. That looks good. Q&A / discussion. We'll be doing a lot of discussion on, like, building blocks of team play, which I think will help a lot of teams who maybe aren't quite so versed in playing Overwatch in a team. So with this bit, if anybody has any questions, it can be on anything, just shoot it in the chat. I'm reading it the whole time, and I'll answer them as they go. So it's a little mix Q&A, discussion. I'll kind of get on tangents and kind of see where it goes. Because I don't really know exactly what I want to cover, but I know I definitely want to cover it. Oh, actually, one thing I did want to do real quick. I'm just going to do this super duper fast. I just forgot what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to do. I just forgot to do it. Oh, there we go. Oh, boom. All right, perfect. All right, bueno, good to go. Awesome. My question was going to be how to start ult tracking as main heals, but it sounds like you just answered that. Oh, there you go. I'm glad I helped you there. How's it going? Pretty good, man. How's it going for you? Yeah, so it's really all about the two main ways that I go about doing it, or go about teaching people to start, is going to quick play and competitive, and, you know, picking a single hero on the enemy team and focusing on tracking them, and then once you could be like, all right, do they have blade? What's their percentage at? This, that, and the other thing. And as well, and then, as you get better at that, then move on to 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and 7, and, so on and so forth. And the other thing is just pick up pro games. I mean, there's tons out there. There's contenders. It's a little bit kind of scuffed doing that right now, just because it's all goats, which is not easy to alt track in, but once you kind of get a hang of those, you get a hang of those. Like, how long Zarya gets to charge, you'll kind of figure it out. But I generally like pro games from the older, in the Overwatch League, just because they have a lot of different heroes, and heroes charge differently, and they charge in different ways. So, like, Ryan will charge faster or slower, or, like, Tracer auto charges faster than, say, Lucio. So, you can kind of, if you're, say, like a Lucio, where you're trying to figure out how to track Lucio alt, you can look at 2 different Lucios that are getting them in different waves, and because Lucio is such a slow alt, you can go, all right, what are they doing differently? Are they doing more damage? Are they doing more healing? And you can kind of really, with that bird's eye view, dissect what's going on and figure it out. Why am I hard stuck plat? I don't know, but I would guarantee you it is a mixture of things. And there's probably one thing that if you changed it, you'd be able to jump up to diamond. Whether that be, positioning, ult usage. The thing about being hard stuck anything is that with players, like especially Overwatch, aim is not everything. You don't need the best mechanics to be a top tier player. They help. But even, I know some really good mechanical players that are, hard stuck like Masters, where their mechanics you would think they'd be in GM, and they're just not. But, there's, I mean, I know it's probably just like a meme question, but one of the things that I would do if you feel like you're really hard stuck in a rank is just make sure you record and watch your games. And, watch like 3 in a row and go 3 like losses, like look for losses. The ones that I always like to look at are close losses, because there's always tiny things that you could have fixed, as opposed to if it was like a blowout, right? Then sometimes it's just like, all right, there's just a lot, and it's very hard to pinpoint. But like look at 3 really close losses and go, all right, is there something that ties these losses together? Is it because I did this here or this there? Is it my positioning? Am I overextending? Am I using my cooldowns wrong? See if there's something that's uniform within all of the losses, and then work to fix that one thing, and then go from there. I got 3 levers today. Yeah, I've had a lot of levers. It's been a very rough season so far, from what I've been playing. Okay. But let's keep going. Questions keep rolling as we go. But let's start with kind of the discussion bit, how I wanted to start before we get into the VOD review. That's that. So we're gonna go with, what is this? Basics, building blocks. I guess we're gonna call it. We'll call it building blocks. Beep 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 beep. Oh god, this is so scuffed. I haven't written like this in ages. I haven't done a VOD review using my little tool in so long. Alright, that looks like building blocks, right? Yeah, sort of. Yeah, right. So, what I'm going to kind of discuss a little bit, or attempt to explain, is kind of the basics that every team really needs to nail down in order to have success. I coach currently. I'm coach of a 4. Are they 1 or 2K right now? I think they're 2K. 4.2K Open Division team in Europe. I was the coach of a 4.2K North American team in Open Division, and I've coached a variety of other teams. And when I say basics, I don't mean like, oh, use the Z button or use H to say hello, or whatever that fucking bullshit is. By basics, I don't mean the simplest things. I mean, the things in team play that are your foundations, Like, how can we, what are the things that we're going to build a solid team out of? Like, all right, let's lay this foundation, and then from there, let's build comps and strategies and this and this and this, but what do you lay down first? And every single team needs basics regardless of the rank that they're at. Every single team that I've ever coached, I start coaching these basics, and I think these are the basics that every Overwatch team needs to kind of go through, and I'll go through them really quick. Yaxam, sometimes when I play Lucio, I found playing red at Lucio, i.e. going for boosts and damage, worked really well in gold and low plat, but not in high plat diamond. How you balance that approach, that kind of approach, with a more conservative play? That is a lot to do with what you're running against. In gold and like low plat, you're more often than not going to get punished for those kinds of plays, right? Like, okay, I'm going to be out, the McCree's not going to flash me, I'm not going to get shot in the head, I'm not going to do this, do that, do the other thing. So you're not getting punished. What's happening is as you go higher, you're starting to get punished for that. So the way that you need to kind of approach going with that is you need to, you know, it's all about kind of pressing advantages when you see them. Like, okay, you know you're going to go for boops, right? You can't just, like, say you're in Diamond, right? Say you're on, like, Ilios Well. You can't just go around and go for a boop. They'll see you and they'll punish you, right? But what you can do is you can go, all right, they're very low. They'll be backing off for healing. They don't have their hook or their stun. I'm now safe because they've used abilities that are going to punish you. So you're kind of, instead of just going for the play, you have to wait for the opportunity to then go and make the play happen, or create that opportunity for yourself. You know, kind of be a nuisance generally, but not committing super aggressively. So it's all about, when it comes to when you're starting to get into the area where they're going to punish you, what you need to do is you need to instead wait for them to be unable to punish you, for you to then go all red at Lucio on them. Or you just need to get really fucking good at being super fast and untouchable. But generally, it's like, it's about seeing, okay, when is me being a red at Lucio? When is that valuable? Is me going for this play where it's like almost like a what is it? A risk cost assessment, or a cost benefit analysis? Almost. How much does it cost? How much does it benefit me? It could cost my life. It will get us 2 picks, right? Seems like a good idea. Or it could cost me my life and I have beat. It could also cost us a team wipe and I would only maybe kill the McCree. Okay, then it's really not worth it. It's about being able to see the game and when you're going to have the value, when the risk outweighs, or when the reward outweighs the risk, or when they're both so high that sometimes you just feel like you have to make the play. How should I fix inconsistencies in aim and general playstyle? Warm up in QP and DM before going into comp. Sometimes I feel like I'm carrying in my 3.1k games, and other times I play like a gold. I know the most common answer is just play the game for him, but that's what I've been doing every day, and it's still very inconsistent. A lot of players are hot and cold. You see that in professional games. There's nothing wrong with being a hot and cold player. The best way to fix inconsistencies is to, like I said before, is to watch your own games and then see if those inconsistencies are really just small things that you can consciously fix. Like, say you're playing Zarya, for example, right? And you're carrying one game and you just feel like a fucking gold in the other game. And you look back and you realize the game you were carrying, you actually weren't getting punished for bad bubble usage. And the game that you felt like a gold, you were getting punished for the same bad bubble usage, right? So, you know, say they had a Roadhog in both games, Roadhog would not hook you if you used your bubble poorly in the game you felt like you carried, whereas he would in the game you felt like you're gold. You're technically doing the same thing, but in one instance, the enemy is punishing you for mistakes, and the other they are not. So if you can identify which mistakes you're making, and then go, okay, I shouldn't bubble this, and then work to fix that. Or I don't need to bubble here. And if you have trouble kind of keeping that in your conscious, just take a little sticky note, pop it up on your monitor, and then it's just in your view, be like, I don't want to bubble those things, and it starts to build muscle memory, and then you're really not being inconsistent. You're just doing the same thing and not getting consistently punished for it. then all of a sudden you're not doing the thing and you're starting to do the right decision, which will never be punished, which will feel like you are now gaining consistency. So building blocks. This is so tasty. So the very first thing that, well, there are two things that I kind of want my teams to start with. One is actually a thing you work on. The other thing that kind of evolves, but you can work at it. So the first building block is comms and communication. I'll break that down a little bit more, how my teams kind of work the communication and how you should start to build them. But the second thing that is this is like bare minimum right at the beginning. I'm coming into your team. I'm just starting to coach, and I'm starting to kind of figure out how we're going to play. And, like brand new set of players. They don't know me. I don't know them. This is what I'm going to be looking for here, right? So the second thing is very, very important is synergy. So obviously when we're playing on an Overwatch team, especially at like a lower rank, right, where we're anywhere from silver, gold, bronze, anywhere up to like maybe diamond, where we're really not playing. I mean, at this point where we're not like, all right, we're immediately going to be top tier. We're playing a lot of it to have fun, and to get better at the game, but in an enjoyable environment that's not just toxic, competitive. Obviously, we want to be having fun in this instance. We want everybody to be cool and to not be toxic and not to be this, that, and the other thing. And that's obviously synergy, is kind of getting on with everybody in your team. Like, I really like everybody here, as opposed to, I kind of like him, I kind of like him. Synergy goes beyond that. It goes to, the fact that how your teammate is going to play. One of the things that I said when I was, last time I did the show, and I did it with FootMob, we did a power rankings of all the OWL teams coming in. I don't know if we did it for all the expansion teams or if we just purely did it for every team. I think we just did it for every team. But one of the things I put above a lot else was synergy. When you've been playing with the same people for a long time, the things that they're going to do. That this guy's going to go for the flank shatter. This guy's always going to go for the hero blade. And once you kind of start to pick up, even subconsciously, on the things that your teammates do and why they do them and how they play, you naturally build up this ability to predict and then make your play around what they're going to do, right? Like, your Genji always likes to blade in this certain way, and you need bubble for it. Maybe before, he would have to call it out, but at a point, you just know when it's going to happen. An instance that I personally have is I play main tank, and I have a buddy who plays Ana, or Mercy. He used to play Mercy, but he plays Ana now, that she's more meta. And I would always know, having played with him for so long, exactly when he was going to nano me. So he knew when I was going to charge and when I was going to get the nano. I knew when I could commit, and we didn't have to say it. We could just do it. And while comms are important, you should always be talking about everything that's going on in the game. If you can make it so that the things that your team are doing are almost second nature, your team's going to have a greater amount of success with that synergy, because you'll never feel off on ultimates, never feel off on abilities, never feel off on your dive target, right? You'll know, like, all right, my Genji loves to dive the Zen, so I'll dive the Zen with him. He doesn't even have to tell me. I know that that's going to happen. And then all of a sudden our dive is doubly strong because we're both going after the same target without communicating. We're doing it at the same time. Yes, I would like him to communicate, but we're doing it anyway. So building synergy is such a huge thing. And that can be with anything, just hanging out in voice comms, just, to get used to each other, playing quick play games, duoing in competitive, not just scrims. You don't want to just come in, play with your team in scrims, and then just kind of say, fuck it, I'm going to go solo queue, right? Take the time, duo with your team, trio with your team, play other games with your team, play quick play with your team. Play with your team as much as you can, so you build that synergy, so you learn the game together. That's one of the biggest building blocks for a team, is making sure that everybody on your team plays with each other a good amount. Like, your tanks play with your healers play with your DPS, so they know how they play and they never feel like they're going to be caught out if they don't know what your team's going to do. So that's pretty basic. That's self-explanatory in a lot of senses. Now let's get freaky. Let's go into comms, which are very, very in-depth. So I'm just going to break this down. This is going to come down here. Son of a bitch. It's going to come right. Make a C. Comms. Alright, so I can bump arrows off of this. Alright, so. Alright. Any questions on synergy, by the way? I don't think so, but I always like to ask. Pop them there. So, building blocks, comms. The next thing that every single team needs before they pick, their rollouts, their rotations, their compositions, they need to be able to communicate properly. Comms is a really, really big thing that every single team needs to learn how to do properly, right? And there are 3 prongs of basic communication that everybody needs to know, right? There's other bits, but there's 3 prongs of information. Any good games other than Overwatch to play together to build synergy? Honestly, I know it's memey as hell, but like PUBG or Fortnite, you have to stack together. It's a game where you can play passive or aggressive, and it forces you to communicate. I know it's kind of a meme game, but like in all honesty, Fortnite or PUBG are great games if your friends are into that. It's still a shooter. You can probably find a way to import your aim from Overwatch. Compare your senses and stuff like that. Forces you to communicate, lets you know how the player plays. In just a broad sense of aggressive, passive, a strong mix. And again, it makes you have to play together as a group to win. So that's not a bad option. It kind of ticks all the boxes. Boom. Now for comps. So the building blocks, 3 basics here. So again, this is what I come in with. This is how all right. So again, walking up into your team, brand new, never been your coach before. We're just starting, new crop of players, getting to know each other. This is how I break down my comp structure. This is how we start. So we're going to start with 3 things that we need to be able to do. Actually, we're going to go shorter arrows so I have more room because I'm probably going to write a lot. 3 things. We have Alt/cooldown. Boom. Alright, we have Alt/cooldown. We have a movement. Combo with movement, we'll have /plan. Right, and then whoa, we're gonna have to. Wow. Oh, thank you to whoever followed me. I really thought I paused that. That's unfortunate. I didn't mean to. That's my Twitch follow thing. Actually, might be able to turn that off real quick, so that doesn't happen if anybody else decides to do the thing. Should have been paused, but thank you, Pulse61, in case he's here. Okay, so these are kind of the 3 basics. Again, coming in, this is what we're going to focus on here. So we're going to start movement and plan. So what this is to me, or not to me, this is what it is. Movement as plan is if you're coming in, right? Say let's make a makeshift point here. Let's go up, around, hook, down. I kind of hooked a little too much, but whatever. Boop, boop. And that's there. This is the point. There's a little bit of high ground here. This kind of cuts off here. There's a bus. And there's this building here. And boom. We have ourselves Numbani, right? Numbani A. So this is Numbani A. And you have this, and this is that little high ground, and then you can kind of come around this way, and there's this little underpass here, and yeah, you get the jig. This is Numbani A, right? For movement and planning, right? What this comes down to is your team needs to all be on the same page, right? So before the fight even happens, right? Before, as you're just kind of like, you're either coming out of spawn, you just won a fight, you just lost a fight. Before the fight actually, heads clash, guns get fired, this and that and the other thing, right? You need to have a plan for what you're going to do. Because one of the things that I like to tell teams is if I don't hear you planning, right, or I don't hear any of these 3 bits of target calling, these 3 basics of communication, you might as well just be playing ranked, or you might as well just have teamed up with 5 randoms. The benefit of Team Overwatch is that you all know each other, you're all used to each other, and you should all have a good sense of, each other, of playing with each other. You should be comfortable playing with these guys, right? You want to, instead of just going like you would in a ranked game, be like, I'm going to pick fucking Winston, and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm going to try to make some shit happen. You have the benefit of having 5 other people that are trying to help you get to the same goal, no matter what. No throwers, no levers, no nothing, right? You have 5 other people trying to help you out. What you need is you need to get everyone on the same page so that when you do engage into a fight, everybody knows what the game plan is, right? So nobody gets lost. I'm sure we've all had this where we're going top left and then, the 2 DPS decide, fuck it, I'm going to go main, right? It's happened to everyone. This is when you can, defeat that, right? What I want to hear when we're building these basics is I want to hear somebody go, all right, let's go top left and let's dive this. Or let's go bottom right and let's do this. You're making a plan. You're telling your team where to move, how to set up, so that you have increased odds going into the next fight, right? When you all know what's going to happen, particularly in a dive, right? In a dive scenario where, say you have, let's just look at it, basic dive here. Wow, those are fucking tiny. Let's make them bigger. All right, let's just go with Winston. Oh, where's my boy? Do it here. Winston. There you go. Let's go with these, 4 basic divers here, right? Where you have a Winston, Genji, Tracer, Diva. Winston, Genji, Tracer, Diva, right? If you go into this, I'm going to move this down here, so that's bugging the fuck out of me. If you go in this, right? And you all know. So all of these guys have burst damage, right? That's what dive's for. Dive is all about, coming in on one target in the center and then deleting it, right? So, all that damage getting the delete in. If you are all have no idea what your plan of action is, no idea that your next target on your engage is their Ana, right? If you guys have no idea that this is your target, and, Tracer goes down, she decides something else is her target, and Genji decides something else is his target, and Diva decides something else is her target, and only Winston follows through with it, right? Only Winston has the plan in his head. Then all of a sudden, instead of 4 things of burst, you have 1 thing of burst, and Ana has the potential to get away. Whereas if you instead go, hey, let's go top left and dive the Ana, then all of a sudden everybody's on the same page before the fight's even broken out. So they all have a goal that they know they're going to be working towards. So then you can achieve that goal in a much cleaner sense, which allows cleaner fights and cleaner wins that don't just evolve into, scattered 1v1s, which is, again, essentially just like playing ranked. So what I look for, the first thing I try to implement is everybody just making sure that we're all coming onto the same page with what the next fight or the next thing is going to be. So first thing is always movement / planning, right? And planning also has, everything has to do with each other. These aren't microcosms of individual things. These all, connect together into the beautiful thing that is comms. But movement and planning for me comes more about where on the map you're going to go, where you're going to fight, and what you're going to do. The next bit, just as important, is target calling. This for me is a little bit tougher. A lot of teams run into issues regardless of rank. This is not, communication is also not a rank dependent thing. People who are higher rank and have more experience in teams, yes, there will be better at target calling, but that's purely due to experience. High rank does not make you a better caller. All right, let's just point that out there. If you're plat, you can be a better caller than a top 500. It's just the nature of the beast, right? Because it's not playing the game, it's something else. It's a different skill entirely. But for me, so for target calling, that's the next thing that I want. This is a very, very important in the current meta right now for my teams, especially. It's all goats up at the top. Up in, 4K and above, even under that. But 4K and above in particular, it's all about the goats. It's all about those triple tank, triple support, this, that, and the other thing. That's the meta right now, and that's what we're playing. And when it comes to that team composition, if we look at that, I won't build it here. We all know what a goats is. Or if we don't, I can build it, but I feel like most of us are pretty comfortable with that concept. Goats has very low damage, relatively. It's not a Widow one-shot. It's not Hanzo, who has crazy high damage. It's not McCree, who also has, Fan the Hammer, has crazy high damage. It's relatively a low damage comp. To make up for that, it has two things. It has a lot of heals in its original Moira form, or it has the Discord Orb, but it also makes up for it by everybody making sure they're always on the same target. And the same thing comes here. If we don't, so say this fight, right, we've gone through the movement and planning phase, right? We jump in, we know the plan is to dive the Ana, right, and the Ana dies, right? Say then, just by sheer force of unluckiness, the Genji dies too, right? So now we're pretty even. The only way to make sure the next fight maintains cleanliness is you need to have solid target calling. And what target calling is very simple. It's calling what the next target is. Making sure that after your initial plan, your initial dive, that everybody knows who the next target is. And that sounds easy, but one of the things that people tend to do is they tend to listen but not act. So your Winston will say, this Zen is low. Tracer will go, I hear it, but I'm currently shooting the soldier right now. And what ends up happening is if everyone does that, right, all 6 players are thinking, I hear it, somebody else will deal with it. All of a sudden, all of our damage is going into different directions. And again, it just evolves into this kind of chaotic smushing of teams. Whereas if you are listening, everybody's on the same page, everybody is going to say, whatever my target caller says, that's my target, that's what I'm going after, then, I'm just actually not going to wear this, I don't need this right now, then all of this damage is coming into one place, and you can burst things down very, very quickly, and your fights come a whole lot cleaner. So, comes movement, and then target calling. And one of the things, now, target callers are, so the way I break down my teams in terms of roles is that I have one person, let's just go with, I'll give you the standard roles that I use. So one person is the designated target caller. So for me, that's the main tank. My reasoning is that the main tanks always have the shortest damage. So Winston's Tesla gun is short, Ryan's hammer is short. So they have the most, they're basically very limited in what they can actually hit. So if, for instance, a Widow is target calling, she can shoot something from very far away that a Winston is not able to get to. Same with the Ryan. Ryan couldn't get to something that a Widow shot, potentially. Whereas generally, whatever the Ryan's swinging on, most characters on the team should be able to shoot it because it's so close to the Ryan, right? It's up close and personal. And same with Winston. You know, Winston's Tesla gun is so short. While he does have that leap, he doesn't have the range, right? He has good movement, but his actual damage is short range. So main tank is always my target caller. You know, as the fight breaks out, you know, you're jumping in. All right, we're going on Zen. Oh, we're going to Diva. Oh, we're going to Zarya. Blah, 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 blah. That whole thing. That is who my target caller is. And that's what target calling is picking that next target. My movement / planner, or what I call a shot caller, what's called a shot caller, that goes to just anybody who's comfortable. Generally not the main tank or what's going to be in the next role, which is support. It's any of the other 4. Your off or your other support, one of your 2 DPS or your off tank. The reason is I don't like to overload people with rules or roles. I don't want them to have to be thinking so hard that they can't concentrate on the actual game. That, if my main tank is shot calling and target calling and ult tracking, he's not even going to know left from right, up and down. He's going to be so focused on so many other bits of information that he's going to play terribly. So I don't like to do that. So target calling, main tank, my movement planner generally tends to be any of the other 4. And then the last thing that I need from comms before I feel like we've really built a foundation on which a team can thrive and prosper is ultimate and cooldowns. This goes kind of both ways. So we're going to start with the traditional role sense, which is, main tank is target caller, that kind of role. Ult, just like I was talking about before, it's ult tracking. Now, the way I do things is everything I do in Overwatch when I coach, I try to maximize the effectiveness of my players while minimizing any opportunity for mistakes, right? So the way I do that with ult tracking, right, is I have one person, the support, either the off or the main support, whichever is better at ult tracking, or whoever feels more comfortable with it. They are going to be tracking all 6 ultimates. Now, you may say, that seems like a lot of ultimates to track. Yeah, it's not easy to track 6. So, to make up for that, to make sure that they are as accurate as humanly possible, I have each of my other 5 players, so these are the enemy ults, right? I have each of my other 5 players that aren't off supports as what I call double checkers. Basically double checkers. So, if you're D.Va, you need to know other ultimates that are online, right? Not just your own or the enemy D.Va. You need to know your other off tanks. You need to know if they have grav, they have sights, high noon, anything like that, anything that you can block, anything that you interact with. If you're Genji, you need to know if they have trance. You need to know if you have grav. You need to know if they have high noon, so you don't just deflect. If you're Pharah, you need to know if you have grav, if they have a D.Va, if they have beat, anything like that. If you're Ryan, you need to know if the other Ryan has shatter, anything of that nature. Anything that your character, any ultimate that affects your character, whether it's you going after them and their ultimate blocking yours, or you blocking theirs, you would need to know it. Therefore, you have a way of kind of double checking, right? So if you're tracking all 6, and say this is Ghost, right? So say this is D.Va here. This guy's tracking all 6 ultimates. D.Va also wants to know about the Zarya. She also wants to know about her own D.Va, right? Our Zen wants to know about their trance and their grav, right? Our Ryan wants to know about shatter, and he wants to know about beat, right? So all of us are checking other ultimates less, right? So each player only has to check 2, maybe, 1 or 2. But they act as a counterbalance to the person who has to do all 6. So the person who tracks all 6 ultimates has all 6 being tracked. And then he can say, I think they're 50 to grav. Your Zarya and your D.Va, who both want to know about grav, can go, no, I think they're closer to 80. Right? It's a checks and balances system that allows to, again, to maximize the effectiveness by ensuring that these ultimates are accurate while minimizing the possibility of getting taken by surprise from these ultimates. So that's just kind of the system that I use for ultimates. Now, what just ult and cooldown is being able to track, but in addition to being able to track enemy ultimates, as well as knowing when enemies have used cooldowns, communicating things like that, like, oh, they use bubble, it's also about your team. You need to know what ultimates you're going to use, because one of the things that a lot of teams do, a lot of early teams do, is they tend to over ult. So they'll use 3 or 4 ultimates to take a fight when maybe they only needed 1. And a lot of that comes to just not communicating, right? And it's a little bit in the planning phase, but you say, all right, in this fight, all we're going to do is nanoblade, right? We're going to nanoblade, or we're going to grav, and when they grav, or when they trance the grav, we're going to nanoblade after that to ensure a team wipe, right? That's a plan. and you don't waste any ultimates doing that, right? There's no wasted ultimates. There's no, oh, I'm also going to use my EMP or something like that, right? Because a lot of times what happens is when the fight breaks out, people start to panic and they don't know that there's really a game plan or there's an ultimate economy. So they just kind of go for it to give their team to win, right? If you're playing Tracer, or not Tracer, if you're playing Sombra and your team's going even, you have EMP, and you didn't talk about a plan of what ults you plan on using, you're going to pop that EMP to make sure your team wins. But then when you EMP, your Genji is already bladed, the Nano's out, and all of a sudden you've used 4 ultimates, 3 ultimates, and you're at a disadvantage when you could have won with just 2 and had another one coming into the next fight. So communicating which ultimates are going to be used during the fight is another huge one. In addition to be able to track ultimates from the enemy team, cooldowns are just discussing your own cooldowns. Just making sure that your team knows, I don't have DM, I don't have dash, I can't dive. I don't have blinks, I can't dive with you. I don't have my bubble, you can't push in. Things like that. Those are basics, but so many people tend to forget them or not utilize them. And what comes out is just kind of a hodgepodge of, it's not really a team, it's just 6 people throwing each other towards an enemy team. And people get frustrated because they go, this is Team Overwatch. We should be doing better than this, without having taken the proper time to build these blocks of communication. And, synergy, like I said before. Are there any questions? That was kind of a lot of information when it came to comms. Kind of went on a tangent there. Are there any questions on any of this before I kind of delete it? And I just kind of want to go into a little bit past the beginning building blocks. These are the best foundations, right? But the beginning, the kind of after, just discussing kind of what my teams do, what you'd see at a higher level, what kind of things we're discussing after that, is what I want to do here. But are there any questions before that? I'm going to delete this because I know it by heart. So if they're not, I will just go. Ooh. Long day. Long day. All right. So, looks like no questions. So let's get right to it. There we go. All right. So let's go slightly. Oh, it doesn't look like a G. Slightly more. I'm getting better as I do this. No. Slightly more in depth. So here we go. We're going to go oh, that was a perfect line, by the way. I did not realize how close that was going to be. Let's go slightly more in depth past the foundations. So if we have our, I'm going to get fancy. If we have our foundation down here, right, and this is what we're talking about. We have synergy and comms. Wow, that's fucking awful. Just pretend you know what I'm writing. Synergy and comms. What comes after it? So what do you build after you build your foundation? So, and just to kind of give just an insight of what the way that I do things, my teams and other high ranked teams will be doing things, and hopefully this should be able to help anybody kind of see what direction their team needs to go in order to really take on the enemy team. So the next step. And it's almost, I almost want to put it down in foundation, but I think the other things are much more important. But this is a close one on foundation. The next little building block I'm going to have here is I'm going to have compositions. So after you build up your synergy, after you build up you know, your communication. You can really communicate. This is when we can start. This is when we start experimenting or narrowing down what we want to play on what map. So, for instance, Open Division, 8 different maps, right? 2 2CP, 2 King of the Hill, 2 Hybrid, 2 Payload, right? So there was 8 maps to practice. You could get about 6 maps, 5 to 6 maps per scrim, depending on how fast you are. So in a week, you are running through these maps a lot of times. So after you build this foundation, this is when you start to develop your strategies. This is when you start figuring out what you're comfortable with. One of the things that I've noticed with lower ranked teams is they tend to just kind of pick, right? I like playing Reaper. I feel like playing Reaper. I want to play Hanzo. I want to play Ryan. Moira seems okay. You know, or I'm getting countered. I'm going to swap to this. Without really having a plan for it. Just kind of doing it. Just making the swaps or picking the characters without planning why we're going to do it, right? So what you do after you build this foundation is you start to develop strategies map to map. Now, again, right now, it's very GOAT specific. But let's take the Numbani example again, right? Numbani, one of the things that I have teams run is I like on defense, Winston, Diva, Zen, Lucio, Brigitte, and McCree. It's called Protect the McCree, or McCree comp, and works very well on Numbani because McCree can use high ground as well as the divers, and it can fight against goats, plus McCree has high damage, and he can contest Pharas, which are very popular in Numbani, right? So what you do is when you go, all right, these are the list of maps that we want to play. And that's one thing that teams should do if they're not in a tournament. If they're in a tournament, know what maps the tournaments are going to play. Practice those maps. Do not practice any other maps. Practice those maps. But if you don't know or you're not in any tournaments, pick 4 maps that are your maps. Those are your home maps. And just practice those. Make compositions for them. Make strategies. Make them like you had to play them every single week. Right? Every scrim, play them. It might be boring, but what's going to happen is just going to develop strategies, and you're not just going to be going, oh, we're on Numbani. I like Widow on Numbani. Let's just play that, right? You're creating compositions that you're going to pick every single time. If you're watching Overwatch League or Contenders, they don't just pick characters. They know before the game even begins what character they're going to pick on what point for what map. And that's the next step, is knowing that, right? So knowing that on Dorado A or on Dorado, we play goats. But on B, we play double sniper dive, right? Knowing that means that people can switch properly and nobody's ever confused. Everybody knows the game plan and knows the calls, and again comes back to game planning. We know what's happening, so there's minimal issues, minimal mistakes being made. So narrowing down compositions per map, right? Having a couple, but like every scrim, right? Say this is Numbani, this X is Numbani, right? Every time we play Numbani in a scrim, we roll out, we start with this hero, this hero, this hero, this hero, this hero, and this hero. These are our 6 every single time we play Numbani, right? Make that your composition. That way you learn how it plays, learn its weaknesses, its strengths, how you need to roll out, what you need to do with it, what your win conditions are, what's the best way to play it, how it plays versus other compositions you're going to run into. All of this stuff that makes you stronger in your strategy. So not just randomly picking heroes, you have to have a composition set for a set map. Yeah? As well as that, knowing if you know your potential weaknesses, knowing then what your next comp is, right? So say you like to run Pharah on Numbani, but they have a McCree. All right, these are the 6 heroes we play when we run into that McCree. Maybe most of them are the same, but knowing what the swap is going to be is huge. All this does is, again, it minimizes questioning. Everybody knows their role within the certain composition. They're not confused as to it, right? Like if you're playing and you just decided to pick McCree, do you know what you're supposed to do? Do you know who you're supposed to protect, what you're supposed to shoot, who your main target is, where your high ground is? You don't know anything. You're just picking a character to pick the character. But if you practice and you know what your role is in the game, you're going to be much, 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 much better off. And the same goes for when you switch. You know when to swap, you make the swap, and then you practice that swap, and you can win off of it. So you're much, much more prepared than any other team. So narrowing down which composition, like, here, let me pull this up real quick. I'll show you something that I have. Here. Boom. Right, let me just pull this real quick. Boom, here. It's behind a bunch of rubble, but look. This is for the 8 maps in Open Division OD comps as of now. This was a while ago, but these are what we play. This is what we played on which map, what point. So everybody knows what we're practicing as we're practicing. Everybody knows. Everybody always knows when it comes to my teams. Yep. So I have a list, right? And I suggest every single team that wants to have success does this. Do we play Lijiang a lot? All right. On Lijiang Night Market, this is what we play. This is what we swap to if we need to. On Lijiang, base or like control center, we do this and we do this. On the other one, Gazebo, I guess it's called. It's not Night Market. I don't fucking know. But we play this, and then we need to swap. We swap to this. Knowing what you are going to play before you even play the game, and having practiced it constantly, Gardens, thank you, means you're going to play better. It means you're used to it, and you're going to always, always, always be able to play better because you know what you're supposed to do within the composition. So that is the second building block that comes above the foundation. After compositions, we start getting into a little bit more. It's a little bit more with the compositions, right? This is building off the compositions. It's rollouts. Rollouts are something you probably hear a lot of. Not a lot of teams under, without a very good coach, not a very good coach, but not a lot of teams without a consistent coach or an experienced or practice coach do rollouts. Because again, you have to have built this and built this in order to get up to this. What a rollout is basically, all right, if you're looking at a point, let's go with Nepal, Sanctum here, right? So Nepal, Sanctum, it's got this little bit, and then it's got the door here. Right, this little bit. Yeah, and then it's got a door here, and this goes like this. And there's stairs down there, and this is a pit. This is a doom pit. Yeah, sure, that's Sanctum. That looks like Sanctum, right? Anyway, so there are 2 doors. What a rollout is, if you are not aware, is rollout is your 6 heroes when you leave the spawn door, right? Actually, hold on. ADR, I will explain that in a sec. When you roll out the spawn doors, where does each individual player go? Right? So instead of just rolling the point, where do people go? So on this point, right? Say it's Sanctum, and say I'm playing like Orisa and Roadhog. I roll out. Our rollout is Orisa goes this way up here, with Hog who goes this way, with Lucio who goes this way, with maybe Ana who goes this way, with Hanzo who goes this way, with Widow who goes this way, right? Just as an example, right? That's not, a rollout that I would do, but everybody knows where they're going, right? And they have specific spots where they're going, and what this is this is basically, you'll hear it a lot when it comes to high-level teams, is min-maxing. Min-maxing is basically maximizing, it's like I said before, maximizing potential reward, minimizing potential risk, right? So what this min-max is what the best position for you to be in is. So to min-max it, to get the maximum value, just get to that position immediately. Don't waste time anywhere else. Don't waste time just rolling out and going, where should we set up? Plan and know where we should set up. Plan these rollouts out. So that's rollouts. What ADR is, is attack, defense, and retake. So a really good team, top level teams, right, or top open division teams, tier 3 teams, tier 4 teams, they have attack rollouts, defense rollouts, and retaking rollouts. So an attack rollout or an initial rollout is your first one, like this. Spawn door is open. This is where you go first before the point unlocks. Defensive is, okay, you've taken the hold. Where do you, or taken the point, where do you hold? Where does everybody position initially? And then retake is, you have lost the point. You have to take another fight. How do you retake? So 3 different types of rollouts that you need to know. And again, this comes after knowing your compositions, and this comes after knowing your foundations, right? After this, this goes into more, this kind of builds, again, we're building, goes off into comp specifics. So this is like, okay, if we run this, comp specific rotations or rollout, roll. So what a rotation is basically rotation is moving around the point to kind of get positioning. And this next building block is more, all right, this is how we roll out generally. If we run this composition or against this composition, how do we rotate against them? When they rotate this way, how do we roll out against them with our, our retake or our defense if they're running this? So comp specific. So, and that, that requires, all right, we run Orisa Diva here. Okay, what if they run double sniper? We do this. Okay, what if they run goats? Okay, we do this. What if they do this? Okay, we do this. It's every single variable you can possibly imagine to, again, minimize and maximize. All right, that's all that is. And I have one more I wanted to put here. Oh, this kind of, I guess you could tie that with this, but this is just set plays. You hear about this a lot in, OWL. Oh, this must be a set play. Things like, okay, the Hammond's going to come from the right in such a way that then the Winston can jump. They're very niche set plays. Or like a set play is Junkrat's going to put his trap here because the Zen's going to sit here because he knows someone's going to jump up here and go here. A set play is basically just like in football, just like in hockey. It's, you have a playbook, you're pulling the play out of the book. And it doesn't, it's not like a strategy. It's just a singular type of play that you do. Like, something that could be practiced a ton in training, like a bomb, a specific type of diva bomb into a Rhine charge could be a set play. Anything like that is a set play, and that's kind of the next step of high level team play. And there's obviously more up top, but then it's individual stuff. At that point, we're starting to get into things like South Korea covering bubbles for people. That becomes maximizing every single individual's skills and abilities, and that just becomes, sport at that point. So that's pretty much it for kind of the basics, the foundations, and building up off of that. So, teams that are looking to try to get better, focus on those foundations I talked about earlier, and then start to build up. I would not expect teams, unless you're with a team for a long time, you're not going to get past, this building block here is really usually what the last bit you hit before you start getting into set plays and individualization and, all right, at the engage, we're always going to roll out this way and do this. Set plays are a little bit of rollouts, but, not quite as general. So this is kind of where most teams stop. I would expect most teams in Owlet. These are the 2 things occasionally pulling out rollouts that, you're really going to want to add to your team to, get them to be better. That's it for what I wanted to really talk about. Are there any questions before I move into the VOD review? I'm going to go get myself a glass of water. So type your questions in the chat if you have any. If not, when I get back, I'm going to put a smile. When I get back, we will start the VOD review. I'm back, boys and girls. Okay, alright. A couple questions real quick. What do you consider a long time for set plays and comp-specific rollouts? It varies team to team, but the thing about it is, with each block, you shouldn't go about it in a way that, if I make the blocks here, like, right, block, 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 block. Oh, that's terrible blocks. All right, I make all these blocks, right? Say this is the first block here. I shouldn't make it so that if we have, like, 3 check marks, if this one's like, we did perfect, this one we did good, and this one we did bad, right? If we check the middle box, like, we did good on that, but it could have been a lot better, I don't want anybody to move up to the next block. Before you move to the next block, you need to make sure that every check mark is perfect, right? You want to make sure before your next block, before you move to the next block, this block will always be perfect. So you perfect one block, go to the next block, perfect, go to the next, perfect, next, perfect, next. It takes time depending team to team, but I would say you're going to start getting, like, you know, set plays and rollouts. I mean, like, it can take 2 months to perfect communication alone. It can take a month to perfect communication, and sometimes you have to overlap them depending on what you're looking at. Like, when you're an OD, you kind of need rollouts, so maybe you overlap a little bit, but you don't go in depth to it. You know, it's all very variable and fluid. But I would say, you know, it can take up to 4 or 5 months to really get into that crazy shit of, you know, set plays that you practice and you know they work, or comp specific shit. So it could take a while, take a few months. You know, like, some of my OD teams didn't do any rollouts until, you know, a few months in, because we weren't under the cosh, because we weren't in OD at the time we started, but it took a few months, because by that time, everything else was perfect, so they were playing fantastic, and then we added to it. It's like, again, It's like when I was talking about the supports earlier. Yeah, you can heal, but let's add something to it. And that's what it was. It was like, all right, we're playing great. Let's add to it. Let's add set plays that make it harder for us to lose, and harder to beat us. You know, stuff like that. Which block would ultimate or ability combos fall under? That's communication. Ultimates and ability combos are all about planning and ult tracking, right? So if you want to say, I want to use Nano Blade, well, do they have trance? Or I want to use Grab Bomb. Okay, do we have Grab and do we have Bomb? That's communication. So that's the very, very first block. I wouldn't really put that under set play because they're not really combos. Like a set play there would be like, all right, I know when I bomb here, they will want to go into this area. So I'm going to bomb this way that forces them that way. Then you guys are going to be there to do this. Like that's a set play, right? The play is this specific bomb that does this specific thing, you know? So combos, they're first block. You need to practice your ults and your ability combos. Because that just falls under, basically all that is proper ultimate communication. Because, like, nobody doesn't know what the ult combos are. Like, nobody's like, well, do I combo EMP with Transcendence? Like, everybody knows. All right, EMP Bomb. Okay, EMP Blade. All right, Blade Nano. You know, Shatter Bomb. Sort of. You know, Beat Blade used to be a good one. Nano Winston, that's aight. You know, Grab Bomb, Grab Blade, Grab anything. You know those combos are there, so it's just making sure that you execute them in the proper way. Like, the plan for this engage, let's use these two ultimates. Okay, good plan, let's do that. And then doing that. So that falls under the first block. Looks like a cake, kind of, so let's put a little... Alright. Okie dokie. Alright, so now I'm going to move into... Oh, fuck. This is, like, going to be so fucked. I don't even know where... Oh, there they are. Haha. Good. Alright. So, just quick. I'm going to go into the VOD review now, but before I do, I would just like to plug myself. If you're watching this for this long, awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you. For anybody asking questions. If you want to follow me on Twitch, my Twitch stuff's in the top right. That's why I keep it there. You can follow, and I stream a lot of competitive. And once the Overwatch League season starts, and hopefully like the meta shifts around, I don't really like to do VOD reviews or just goats versus goats because it is what it is. But when there's like high-end competitive, like when there was Contenders China, or, you know, I did stuff for the World Cup. I do VOD reviews and pro analysis of pro games, which is a lot of fun and really cool. And I find fun because it helps me be a better coach, and people like to enjoy that stuff. So follow if that interests you, or if you want to just watch me play competitive, or if you want to play competitive with me, because, you know, I play on plenty. Lucio or Ana be on the payload during second point King's Row. So if you're running... Usually, I like to put my Ana on payload. With the Lucio kind of in the mid, like payload, Ana, Lucio, tanks. But the most important thing is making sure as a tank that your Ana can see you. So if, like, you know, King's Row has that weird kind of zipper. Second is like a zipper, right, where it goes up, out, around like this. Like this is kind of how second. That's like this open range area, right? Like it goes in the zipper. If Ana's here, but your you know, team's pushed up here, she can't see you, so you're not doing that. Yeah, that's usually what you'd go with, right? If it's dive tanks, Lucio can sit there. But also, like, you don't want to push up in such a fashion that your Ana's going to be in danger without Lucio. Lucio is really important for peeling for Ana, because he can boop away and speed her out, as well as heal her. So Lucio is huge in helping Ana if they get counter-div. So in that sense, like, the you know, they have to be kind of close together. It's almost like, it's like both and none at the same time. Like, Lucio would be like up here and the Ana's here. It's just, as you have to be able to see your tanks, basically. Whoopsies. Is the big thing. You need to be able to, if you're on a, see your tanks, right? If Ryan Zarya, generally you're not pushing up this far. If you are pushing up that far, even sometimes you can put a DPS on there, right, to allow the heals to be up top, or, you know, Lucio can be here, the Ana can be here where she's not in danger, and then still healing the tanks, you know, stuff like that. It's variable, but I tend to put Ana on payload bitch duty, and sometimes Lucio goes on payload bitch duty, but often it's Ana. Don't put Bring on payload. Brig does not ever want to be in the back payload. When you're playing goats, your goats is Ryan, Zarya, Diva. Your Zenyatta should go on cart. Right? Your Lucio wants to be in the mid, and your Brig wants to be up top. Zen is fine on cart because what can happen is the Brig can turn around. She can hit quick. Diva can come in for a peel. And if you're playing goats versus goats, he's never going to get dove. And then Lucio can go forward and back to speed things forward and to go protect backwards. But if Brig is here, she's not getting any value. She needs to be up in your grill. So I would not put Brig on that. I would put it Zenyatta. My buddies play Moira Goats. Oh, tell them don't do that. Moira Goats is hyper weak. It loses to both Ana and Zen Goats. Ana and Zen Goats are superior. If you're not comfortable on Zen Goats, go Ana Goats. It's way better. You just have more. It's just more to it. And antis are huge when it comes to Ana Goats. So I would suggest Ana Goats over Moira Goats and then Zen Goats over Ana Goats. But it's just me. It's kind of like a triangle. Like it's like the shittiest rock paper scissors where you got Moira Goats, he gets beat by Zen Goats. Wait, is this how the right person? No, I'm sorry. Moira Goats gets beat by Ana Goats. Ana Goats gets beat by Zen Goats. And Moira Goats forgets it's a circle and doesn't beat anything. It can beat Zen Goats on it's so map specific and you have to play it right. It's like it's hyper map specific. It's like, you know, King's Row, the way Great Britain played it, where they would play in here and they would use the orb to bounce up and down. It's so hyper. It's like 1% of the time Moira Goats can maybe beat Zen Goats. But Ana Goats always beats Moira Goats. And Zen Goats always beats Ana Goats. So alright, but now we're going to get into the fun stuff. We're going to go into the VOD review now. So, let's get ready. I'm going to turn this down because I feel like my head is like super low. It could just be me. I'm just going to go with that. Fuck it. Fuck it. Alright. Dope. Now, let's get into the VOD review. So, there we go. Alright. VOD review. So, the one that I have picked, it was apparently a really, really close game. We are going to go with Yes versus 1516 on Lijiang Tower. I like Lijiang, so it is hopefully going to be fun. Hopefully going to be fun. I have not seen any of this. So we're going to kind of break it down. This is a totally brand new perspective.
Side map that
I have watched none of this. Okay, so let's get assembling heroes. Let's get ready to rumble. So we are on VOD review time. Okay, so alright, let's just wait because this could change. Okay, so Resident Sleeper. Okay, so we're gonna go goats versus goats here. Pretty standard stuff for this point. Very strong goats point. I don't usually like to run VOD reviews of goats because it's very basic, but I can, instead of VOD reviewing goats itself, or of the VOD itself, let's break down how goats works. So we can kind of see that in action, how Zen goats works, alright? So, let's go with goats. So I'm not going to drag this out too long, or this whole VOD review too long, because I want to play Overwatch too. So let's go goats here. One sec. Bada boom, bada boom. Bada, 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 boom. Alright, so this is goats. So this is Zen goats. I'm just going to, well, yeah, let's go Z goats. Z goats. Alright, so let's break down Zen goats here. Let's look at the evolution of goats, right? First. So it starts out with Moira goats. And the reason of Moira goats is Phasapog. The reason Moira goats evolved was what goats was, when Moira goats was coming about, was big meat ball. Is what I'm going to call it, but we'll just call it big meat because that's more fun. It was basically a big meatball of tanks and healing. So the idea was that there's so much health, so much healing, so much area healing, that is it impossible to kill all of these tanks, right? Now, that inevitably got defeated by the next evolution of goes down, as well as spam comps. Comps that spammed out, like Junkrats or Pharahs, that could force the Moira to use all of her healing, or force the Brigitte to use her armor packs and stuff. They could get beaten by that. One of the things you saw that would beat Moira goats was things like Junkrat Widow, played by Fusion University. The Junkrat would get mad value, quick tires would just kill them, and then it wouldn't matter that they had a ton of health. They would die from the tire. It would be a 6v4, and they would just lose it. So that got beat by that. And then Ana Ghost comes along and beats Moira Goats. And the reason is Ana has the anti-nade. The anti-nade takes out all of the healing that the Moira provides, right? So the anti is a direct counter to Moira, so it takes out the massive benefit of Moira Goats, as well as it fixes the biggest detriment of the spam comps. So spam comps no longer provide the same value. You can still get big tires and barrages off of it, but you can't ensure that there's no healing because Ana has infinite healing, whereas Moira is limited. So you can't just spam out until she's out of resources. She has infinite ammo, so it's infinite healing, right? So spam comps don't work. Ana Goats then becomes prevalent for a while, and then we move into Zen Goats. And the reason for Zen Goats is people decided, or not decided, but started to learn kind of the tricks and the trades, the shield bashes, and how to do maximum amount of damage with, oh shit, what's up, Love Gangster? Big raid coming in hot. Anime is illegal. Is that because you saw my JoJo's background? Because that feels insulting. Goddamn. Don't hit me with that. That's so mean. People learned how to play rather than just slam two big meatballs together. I'm banning me? Come on, that ain't right. Don't ban me because you know what? Actually, this is really important. Before we keep going, I really this has to do it. I just have to do this real quick. Gotta find this. Let's just make sure no ad. Yeah, perfect.
What's happening? What's happening? Hey, what a done? What's up, Bodie? What's up, Sean Paul? What's happening? Hey, now, ladies and gentlemen.
Just wait for it. It's alright. Just let it happen. Just roll through. Just let it happen, alright? Alright, alright, alright.
Let's go!
Alright, cool. This is important that I did that. You know, after this whole thing. Yeah. I have so much JoJo's crap in my room right now. I have books from Japan. I have my sweatshirt's on the floor. I have a couple shirts in here. I'm popping. But I love that song. That's my jam too, Samson. I feel you on that, son. I feel you. It's the crunkest of corners. So anyway, after getting crunk in the corner, Zen Goats basically evolved after this. People were like, okay, we don't just need the massive healing. We can get over the massive healing by going with burst damage. Because, you know, Zen has a lot of damage. Ryan and Brig do burst damage. Let's cut the Discord on things and ignore the burst healing. Just kill it with burst damage. So this comes in with burst damage. So that's kind of how Zen Goats evolved. And what I'm going to look for, so this is what I look for when I review Zen Goats. So we'll go with burst damage here, right? That's the biggest thing. So when I review Zen Goats, when I'm looking for what I find good or bad in Zen Goats, there are two, well, there's a lot, but there are two main things I focus on, and they kind of bounce back and forth to each other. So we're going to start here. So we got two main things, right? We go with Zen Discords. So Zen Discords. And then bubbles, right? These are the two biggest things I look for when I see if a team is utilizing Zen Goats properly. And if we wanted to add a third, it would be speed, right? But speed is something that you know, is very difficult for a lot of teams to get down right. So I don't tend to look at that more because there's more interplay and counterplay between the bubbles and the Discords. And what this is, so the way that Zen Goats works, right? We talked about this earlier, where if we look at the range of all the heroes, right? Where we have, let's go with, oh, fuck, damn it. We go Ryan, Brig, Zarya, Diva, Lucio, and Zen. Did I say Zen? Zarya, and then Zen. So this is a Zen. If we look at the range of all these heroes, right? Zen is very far. Lucio is very far. Diva is pretty far. Zarya is in the middle, but Brig and Ryan are really close, right? This is the range. So when all of these heroes, right, if you want to maximize the damage you're doing, the enemy's range needs to be here. So every player is able to hit the enemy. So this is the line of the enemy. This is where you want the enemy to be, right? And Ryan is the leader of that. He has the most burst cleave damage. So he ignores shields, unlike Zarya and Diva. Lucio Zen, he ignores shields. He does more damage than Brigitte. And it builds up his ultimate very, very quickly, which is a fight-winning ultimate. So your Reinhardt is your main source of damage, as well as your main source of protection from Discords, as well as damage from other things. So your backline doesn't get picked, right? So in the Goats versus Goats, it's very important whoever keeps their Rein up and at more health wins. And something that I've talked about when in terms of space, right? What is the minimum amount of money I'm gonna spend on a gaming chair to reach DM? I spent $100, $120 on this thing, and it's a piece of crap, and I'm still not GM. So I'm mid-diamond. Let's go with, if I need 1,000 SR, I think you need a minimum of $500 on your gaming chair. So save up, bitches. You want to get GM? Spend $500 on a gaming chair. You heard it here first, folks. So something that I talk about on my personal streams when I was doing VOD reviews is about, yes, absolutely, is about spacing with the Reins. So I've talked about it. Overwatch is a game of space. Whoever controls the most space wins the game. Now, if we have two Reins, this one at 200 health, and this one at 500 health, right? That's a shitty 500, but we'll go with that, right? If they both want this space, they want to compete over this space, and this is like a 1v1, I guess, scenario. That wouldn't happen, but let's say it is, right? In this 1v1 scenario, right, this Rein with the 200 health can't go and fight equally with this 500 health Ryan, because after 1, 2, 3 swings, 200 health Ryan dies, 500 health Ryan wins the fight, and then he gets all the space for free. So what the 200 health Ryan has to do is he has to back up and give space until he could get healing. So that allows the 500 health Ryan to move forward, right? So that's the benefit of health. Discords in goats work the same way. So if your Ryan drops his shield too often and is getting this discord, right? So let's make this bobble like this kind of wiggly bobble, discord, right? If your Ryan is dropping shield, a good Zen will always have his discord, his eye trained on your Ryan, even when his shield's up, and be spamming discords for when that shield goes down. Because the second your Ryan gets discord, he will be taking more damage. And if their Ryan is free of discord, he will not, so he will start to impede on space, and if he starts doing damage, this Ryan that's taking more will die quicker, therefore their Ryan goes down, loses the main source of cleave damage, and can't get a good ultimate. Can't survive, can't block bombs, can't block shatters, can't do any of that. He's dead. So instead, this Ryan would have to back off, right? Now to counteract that, what happens is in goats, which is different from standard Zarya play, is you save your bubbles for the Reinhardt, because what bubble does is it purges the discord off the Rhine. So bubble is used to equal out the fight. So now that it's equal, both Rhines can go at each other equally. So generally in goats, whoever bubbles last or isn't forced to bubble first wins. So what I'm looking for is which Rhine gets discorded first, and do the Zaryas waste the bubble on things that are not their Rhine and not purging discord. In goats, I tend to always want to pump every resource I can into keeping Rhine alive, because he's the crucial facet. Brig enables goats. Rhine is what goats needs to actually work. So that's the two main things I'm looking for. Yep, Zarya bubble purges discord as well as anti-nade. So Zarya is a key facet in making sure your Rhine can sustain in the fight. So those are the two things I look for during a goats matchup to see kind of what's like who's winning, all right? Who does what, when, and how, and why, and et cetera, et cetera. So those are the two main things I'm going to look for in this review, as well as I'm going to look for, are they all shooting the same target, which is entirely necessary in goats, and are they spread out, how extended are the fights, and are they using combos effectively? So discord, bubbles, targets, and combos. That's what I look for when I'm looking at a goats review, and we'll kind of see how that goes. So Gangster, what was your Reaper question? Just real quick before I really get into the meat of this this shiz. I'm gonna boop, boop. CC cleanse when. Reaper viability and Slambulance sort. Slambulance sort of composition in new patch. So Reaper is really, really niche, and for me, hey, don't say facts like they're true. Alright? I don't fucking hear that shit. For me, Reaper is a very niche character right now, and his buff only makes him better in his niche. So he's very good in what he does now, which is close range combat in tight environments that have no high ground to abuse. And his buff, because it's really only to damage and heal, it's the buff is, the armor doesn't affect him as much, and his healing is better, but it doesn't allow him to get places he couldn't before. Like, he's still the same very, very minimally mobile Reaper. So I think he's only going to be better in his niche rather than a much more prominent part. I think anywhere you play Reaper now, you can play him again. Like, Nepal Village with that tiny square, I have a lot of teams run that now. You know, it works. You get them in that tiny area. It can work out really well. I had them run it on Anubis. Second point, Reaper was great there. So I think he'll be good there again. But, you know, anywhere that you can run a Junkrat, a Widow, a Hanzo, a Pharah with any sort of success, Reaper's going to have problems. So I think he'll be viable in those kinds of big, meaty compositions where he's the main damage dealer and you're going to have to focus a lot of resources down into him. But only on maps that he's already, at minimum, okay at. Like, I think this point would actually be okay for Reaper. There's not a lot of high ground abuse, and you really don't see long-range snipers coming into play, and you're running a Slambulance Goat style. You can run that here. But, like, Gardens, where Pharaohs and Widows are prominent, I'd be wary of running that Reaper. Alright, so let's get it going. So let's remember the two things that we're looking for here. We're looking for bubbles, we're looking for discords. As well as, you know, other bullshit. Alright, so we're going white room here. So red team has positional advantage. Good. So we're not running directly into them here. Okay. Alright, bubbles are already out. Alright, so let's look. Okay, so the Rhine there is already discording. See, look at this. This is exactly what we're looking for. Discord's coming on the Spook. Discord's already on Paper Sword, right? This is what we're looking for. And this is why this is where the Zarya bubbles are coming in. Purge. Purge. There you go. Now it's an even fight. Wow, Chunk gets rocked. So what does he die from? Alright, so let's go into this. So let's look at Chunk here. He gets hit by the Brig. So he gets discorded. And he gets hit with Zen right clicks. Okay. So now this is going to be a pretty clear death. Alright, so that was a very fast take. Basically that's kind of exactly what you're looking for here. In this scenario, right? You know, like I said, team the bubbles first tends to lose these things, not for lack of the Rhyme trying. You know, the Discord came out, bubble got purged here. It was an unfortunate right click on the Zen. One of the things that I would prefer to see is I'd like to see divas in these scenarios really utilizing defense matrix. In order to prevent things like these powerful right clicks coming through from Zenyatta, because that's the kind of threat that he puts out. And Diva can still put damage in, and she's never going to be the main source of damage in these goat style compositions. If she can put even a little bit of missile damage into these guys, it's fine, right? She wants to be contesting high ground and eating this type of damage. So if we have a DM on Chunk here, the DM here is going to allow Chunk and Spook as well as Noma to start doing damage into these guys without risk of these types of right clicks coming from the Zenyatta, without that fear. So the engage was good there. Could have used DM to kind of take it out. And this is kind of the thing when it comes to GOATS reviews, is you're looking really at micro plays. Like, you're really micromanaging players because it's all micro play. It's not about strat. I mean, there is strat, but it's about micro play. So like right here, first thing I see is I see Lucio's on speed, or not on speed, on heal. I prefer him on speed here because, like, okay, so if we look at it like distance covered, because for me, Overwatch, and when it comes to GOATS, it's all about the numbers. And if we go, let's just kind of break this down here. So let's look at, if this is a straight line, bear with me, right? Ryan's here. Actually, let's make this Ryan, and this is the enemy Ryan, right? So your Ryan gets bubbled here, which means by the time he gets here, the bubble has disappeared. So he doesn't, the only value the bubble is going to provide is going to be on purging the Discord, right? Especially without speed. So he has to close this distance without speed. The bubble goes away, and then he starts taking normal damage. Now, if instead of that, if as the Ryan's about to get bubbled, right, if he keeps his shield up before this, right, while the other enemy Ryan is out of range, they hit speed and bubble at the same time. By the time he's here into the enemy Ryan, bubble is still active, which means he gets a few free swings in here. Which means if this Ryan is -1 swing, and your Ryan is at 0, quote-unquote, not having taken a swing, then this Ryan will die first. Alright? And if you're pumping enough resources into your own Ryan, then it's going to be a pretty even fight. You keep that DM on him, and he's not going to take any damage from the Zenyatta. So if you can maximize your bubble to be more effective than the enemy bubble, you're going to do well. So if you use speed, if you're going, I'm bubbling Ryan, speed in. When you use that bubble, if you don't engage, and they still have bubble available, they can do the opposite to you. So if in this scenario, they bubble the Reinhardt. Right, let's just go back. Bubble the Reinhardt. If we don't engage, the second that bubble goes down, they're going to bubble their Ryan, who's had his shield up the whole time, who's not taking any damage. They're going to bubble him, speed in, and punish your Ryan and take him out. So they're going to punish the fact that you didn't use your bubble for an engagement, and you left it without the Ryan. But if you can punish them before they... If you can punish the fact that they're looking for a punish, which is kind of a weird thing to say, you can win that fight out. But since you had to use your bubble early, you need to go in for it. And this is one of the things that Reinhardts in general need to do when they're playing in GOATs. You cannot just willy-nilly drop your shield, which is something that happens a lot. So like right here, shield's not up. Shield's not up. Shield needs to be up right now, and you need to be right here holding that shield up. Letting D.Va do damage, breaking the shield, right? We want to focus on if we can break the shield, and then when we plan on engaging, then speed in, get that Discord, use the bubble, go in that way, right? But we need to hold shield up because, again, like I said, any Zen worth their salt is going to pump you with a Discord and put you at a disadvantage, which is what happens here. So shield down, see? On that rotation, your shield goes down. You don't want that. If you're going to rotate like that, that's a fine rotation to make because you're looking for an engage here. So you're coming in here this way. You're looking to engage here. Brig is a little out of position, right? Okay, you can maybe punish that, right? Ryan's a little further back. Brig's a little further forward. She doesn't have the same stun she used to. So if you're going to do that, keep your shield up. Let your Lucio pop on speed. And then when you're down here, hit the speed boost amp. Then if you get the Discord, use the bubble and run this Brig over. All right, your two main targets for Discords are going to be Ryan and Brig. And if Brig is opening herself, take her the fuck out. Yeah? But dropping the shield here gives the opportunity for this Discord to come flying onto your Ryan. There's no reason to do that. It's GOATs. It's getting nitpicky up in this bitch. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free. Now, this was probably the best scenario you could have asked for when losing a fight like this. You did not feed that much ult charge. One of the things that happens with GOATs is it tends to be an extended... Discord's going to come out again. Ooh, no Discord. Very surprising. So one of the things that can happen with GOATs, Nick's picking GOATs, the best part about being a coach. Yeah, I actually don't mind it. It's not my favorite meta by any means, but one of the things I do enjoy about it is it kind of lets me be a coach more, like getting really in depth to what's actually happening in the game rather than, why did we lose? Yeah, Widowmaker. Oh, well, how do you stop? You can't. He's very good. Oh. Like, that can, like, why did you lose this fight? Carpe popped off. The fuck are you supposed to do? But with this, with GOATs, a lot of it is, this is what you could have done, which I'm always happy with. But it's definitely not my favorite meta. Don't take it to say that. So that the positive of this is with GOATs, fights can extend. And you can have a lot of disparity in ult charge, but you're actually looking really good in terms of ult to ult. You have 62 there, which is okay, which is pretty even. This is even. Zarya's definitely going to get grabbed fast, and your Brigs are at a huge difference. But you actually have Trance, which is huge. You having that support ult means you can survive their next fight a lot better. So, one of the things I will say here, the teams need to do not be afraid to be aggressive. Do not ever have that fear. That is not a fear anybody should have. This is the point we're looking at here, right? There is no reason, right? Goats is a pretty straightforward, right? There's no sneaky angles. There's no bullshit, right? It's 1-to-1. If you can play here, right, as your team using this corner, so you use this corner, right? Your entire team is protected from them. Your Reinhardt is going to get free damage. They're going to be forced to push into you, right? Into a bad space. And they have to take this fight and win this fight before they even have a chance to go and cap the point, right? Whereas if you're now fighting back here, they can get the point a lot quicker as opposed to just doing it here and then fighting, right? Because by the time they get to the point there, they've amassed a couple percent, you're already on your way back, yeah? And you don't even have to worry about them holding the choke because you fought so early. But if you hold up here, you can use these corners to your benefit. You can use this wall for a grab if you want to. Throw the bomb past, have your Ryan drive in, and do all of that, get big kills, whereas you give them a lot of space this way for the red team. Or the blue team, I'm sorry, does not need to be. Like, you're just allowing them to come in. Yeah, okay, like right here. Alright, no, so now the bubble went down. So look, Ryan's already discorded. He's going to die. Look at that. Who won? 5-4-6 won a game. Oh, blue is down 1 if I recall. Oh, it's very possible. If they are down 1, then that seems wise. I didn't notice a death that couldn't have come back with a Lucio speed boost, but irrelevant. I'm not gonna really nitpick on that much. Oh yeah, Widow only dies there. But at that point, like, oh, okay, boom, get a kill right there. Yeah, that's fine. They should be able to come back quick enough, I would think. But good catch there. I did not notice that kill. Okay, so good backup, not bad. Sorry, R right there. I don't mind that. Alright, so yeah. We're going to see this thing that I'm talking about again with the goats. It was a spooky set control. It's for sure our weakest game mode, but improving every day. That's great to hear, man. Also, I do like to put this out there in case anybody wants. If anybody wants, like, any, you know, if you do have a coach or you don't have a coach, you want an extra VOD review, an extra set of eyes. Coach Frumple, not FootMob. That's fine. FootMob was on last set, so totally get you. If anybody has any VODs that they want to send me, absolutely send me. Maybe I'll sometimes I do the reviews on Twitch or on my Twitch. Sometimes I just like to look at them. You know, if you have any questions, my Discord is always open, and I like to be that way. I like people to be able to come and ask a coach, you know, anything. That's what it's about. It's about improving. So if anybody wants to take up coaching, feel free to message me. I currently do not require payment, though. Maybe like 1 clove of garlic is going to be my new payment. I don't fucking know why. So weird shit. But anyway, let's go back to this. Stop being weird. So as we're coming in here, right? Shield drops. Right here, we could easily get discorded. Okay, bubble's out. But the bubble is not been forced from blue. Now, does blue use it? Yes, they do. I don't think it was necessarily forced. But what they're doing here is they use that bubble. They're engaging now. They're moving forward. I think ideally they could have sped forward a little bit more to punish this. But the Discord's out. There is no purge. He is going to take full damage from a rallying Brig and a living Rhine. Though Paper does die, I think he goes in a little too deep. And then, alright, now the grab comes out. Trance comes out, so that trance is huge, but would I call it a waste? Absolutely. I think generally, unless you have your own bomb combo of Diva and Zarya, which is coming up real close, once your Rhine dies, and then even one more thing, it's generally not worth wasting your ultimates. Because now you have even less of an ult economy. So they are really building their ults up. Now, they did have to use Grav there, or maybe they didn't have to, but they did use Grav to ensure their win. But there's still 4 ults to your, what's inevitably going to be 4 ults in that way. No, actually, I'm sorry, 5, because that's just Baby Diva right there. I lied to you. But, you know, you're going to have the rally, you're going to have this, you're going to have this, you're going to have this, but they're going to have, you know, Trance for your Grav. They're going to have Beat for your Shatter. They're going to have a Shatter of their own, a Bomb of their own that they can maybe use to zone. They have kind of now, one of the things with goats is you really want to ensure that your combos stay synced, because once you get out of sync, it's very hard to get them back in sync without like losing a set or losing a round. So your main combos in goats, or you're coming in with a Grav Bomb, is your most surefire way to get a team kill. You Grav Bomb, and then you Rhine charge their Rhine to get the shield out of the way, and then boom. Couple tips of advice here. Actually, and then the other combo is you use the Lucio, you speed behind their Rhine, you boop them, and then you shatter. Now, some quick tips when it comes to bomb combos. I'll give you a couple here. I'll give you 2. So this goes for, this is Reinhardt's, and then this is for ensuring good combos. So if we're doing the bomb combo, which is Grav and Bomb, right? If we are stuck in a Grav here, so this is our makeshift Grav here. Actually, that was a bad last one. So this is our Grav, right? And everybody's stuck in this Grav. If they send a bomb, a Diva bomb, this way, like how some people like to glide it along the floor, right? So we're gliding along the floor here, like this. Actually, I'm gonna... there. So they glide it along the floor. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They shoot the bomb downward. It goes across the floor, and then ideally lands like right in the middle, right? If they do that, if you're Reinhardt, one of the things you can do is you can shatter the incoming Diva bomb, which will stop it where it is, and then you can hold your shield up. So you can ensure the bomb doesn't go anywhere near the Grav, and you can hold your shield up to prevent it. Sometimes, if you can manage to get their Rhine in it, it's a surefire. Sometimes it's a little risky if you don't know where their Rhine is. If their Rhine's dead, you can ensure it, just so you don't get, you know, stunned or charged. But you can shatter. That's one way you can avoid that bomb if they go down. Generally, I tell my Divas to go up. That way, because what's going to happen is if they land it even above here, they're not aiming for the middle. They're just aiming for the general area of the Grav, because what you need to do to ensure the Grav gets through is your Rhine needs to charge their Rhine. So it really doesn't matter if it goes inside the Grav or not. As long as it's not like super high in the air that doesn't get any kills. So there's that. Last tip, just a simple one. When you're a Diva and you use your bomb, right, and there's a Grav out, what you want to do, because your Rhine needs to be able to charge their Rhine. It's really hard as a Reinhardt to time when the Diva bomb is going off. So I like my Divas to count 3, 2, 1, charge, right? Tell the Rhine to charge about a second before your bomb is going to go off. So like I'm using bomb, 3, 2, 1, charge now. Charges their Rhine, and the timing works. I've had a lot of success with my teams counting down, not when the bomb's going to explode, but when you should charge, which should be about a second or so before the bomb explodes. So just 2 little tidbits when it comes to making sure that combo goes through properly. Okay, so now it's 2 down. There's another huge stagger, so wasting a lot of time here. Right, and now this, yep, this is where we want to be, using that corner. Doesn't matter. Can't do anything with it. Ooh, that's a bit of a waste of a shatter. Yep, nope, that's going to be big. Alright, so this is what, this is a bit of an overcommitment. One of the things I think teams tend to forget is they really don't have to commit two these kinds of plays. Generally, so what you want to be doing when you're facing a Reinhardt as your team. So one of the things I noticed here is that you guys are kind of here, which opens you up for a shatter. Now the Zen's positioning here, I don't know who this Steiner. This Zen, very, very good positioning. I really like it. You're behind a wall, or you're right over there, which means you cannot get shattered, which means you have a free way to come get a trance in to cover that shatter. Super huge. I love it. Ideally, I prefer my Lucios to be the ones to be able to block shatter with a beat. So they'd be behind here and then come out and beat to prevent shatter from going through. But it's still really smart play from the Zenyatta. Whoever that Zenyatta is getting huge props from me. Steiner, A+ on that. Looking really good on that. So this shatter comes through. All right, trying to make a play. You see their Ryan's going over there. Don't mind it. The blue team overall position-wise, generally when you're playing with the Ryan, I like to use Ryan as kind of like a fulcrum point, right? If Ryan's here, wherever he's facing, your team needs to be in like a column behind where his shield would be, in this kind of tight vicinity to allow those blocks to shatter. Because once you start going off to the side, that's when you can get shattered without your Ryan being able to block. So like if the Ryan starts to rotate and is facing now this way, and his shield is this way, then your column is this way, right? If your Ryan rotates this way and it's pointing this way, your column's this way. You want to just kind of like everyone kind of, all right, we're here and we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here. If your Ryan turns to face that way, all of a sudden we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here. Using him as kind of a fulcrum point, right? So like, I guess this is probably the best way. So arrows are where Ryan is looking. Lines are where you should be positioned. It kind of looks a little weird, but just kind of allows you to never really get caught out in these situations where you're going to get shattered basically for free. Now, gets the shatter, perfect. Once this comes in, you do not have to play aggressive here. So this is kind of a, I want to say definitely a big waste. So we use the bubble, or we don't use the bubble. We use the bubble. Why did we use the bubble? Just to save our Ryan? It's fucking stupid. Don't do that. Let's go back here. Want to see our bubble usage? It's huge. Alright, coming through. Is there? I don't see the bubble. Don't see the bubble. Yeah, okay. Right there. Terrible bubble. Just have to say it. This one gets no value. Really, when you're going in goats, again, the main thing you're trying to bubble is discords and allowing your Ryan to aggress. This is not a bubble that does either of those things, and what this means is that when your Ryan gets aggressive, when he gets discorded, which he does, which is props to the other Zen Ryu, fantastic, on having this discord on that Ryan. Like right here, that swap, ba-boom, right on that Ryan, right away, perfect. This is what you want. Now, your Ryan is caught out forward, and he is trying to make a play here. I really impressed by Spook on this one, not to get kind of spooked, quote unquote, on having low damage. Knows what he has to do, block, and then here with that discord, I mean, it's so quick how people get shut down. Steiner, you God, you're killing it, man. But once this is done, you don't have the trance, and even if you did, didn't matter. Smart not to use the beat. Oh, did he use it? Oh, he beat it. He shouldn't have beat it. I was going to give you props. Never mind. No props. So yeah, basically that use of bubble allowed the discord to come through, and then you got aggressive. What we can do here, what we should do here instead, is we just, you know, this comes through, the shatter comes through. We have our trance. Okay, can we push into it? Fantastic. All right, trance ends. Right here. He was out of sight of the trance. We should never be out of sight of the trance when it's up. Use it to your advantage. Just stick in this doorway. Don't allow them to get through. Right? They use shatter. Force them to use even more ultimates to get through. Right? Don't have to do anything. You can definitely play a little on the defensive side. That beat is rough. I really like this. So we take the point. Boom. Immediately onto the aggression. Love it. Alright, so let's use this corner. Okay, so now always be tight on this corner here. Be tight. You don't want to give this a space. You don't need to give up. You're live. You don't need to give it up. Right? Now, if they start to come in here, right, you can give it up if you need to. But, you know, you shouldn't really have this kind of fear. You have beat, you have trance. You can use them aggressively. You can use one of them aggressively, I should say. You know they use shatter, so why not use beat for it? Yeah? Use beat to counter and try to get some damage in. You're backing up here real hard. You discorded. Great bubble. Purging the discord. Big shatter. Doesn't get the rhyme. Alright, now, so now that this trance is out here, I never want to see you drop shield. Zero reason to ever drop shield. Just move forward in. Or to pick up shield. Yeah, see? There's no reason to do this. Yeah, trance up. Alright, good. Good stagger. Good work. So yeah, play that corner. Especially now. They don't have rally. Yeah? Play that corner. You still have beat, so you can survive. If they go for beat bomb, we've talked at length about positioning after a team wipe, after point cap specifically. Yeah, you got it. Just, you know, it's you can, as Ryan, just be here with the rest of your team out over here, right? Zen being here allows him to get damage and discords on. Lucio over here means he can peel and move. Diva. Sometimes I like my divas over here or here just for kind of tricky grab eats. My diva's here and everybody's here. They're going to look for this way. You can go for a DM on the backside for an eat, but that's kind of iffy. But yeah, this is a lot of free space that you don't need to give. And now you're in a straightaway, which means you're more even as opposed to using that corner. You both have a corner here. Now you definitely have advantage with that point, but they can also flank you around here. Whereas over there, they don't really have any options but to just come into you. Here they have options. Discord again. There it is. See, the bubble comes to use, but once that bubble's gone, you didn't use the bubble, you didn't get aggressive with it. Good bomb. Paper Sword die there. Paper Sword wants to charge. Why does he not charge? Or does he waste charge? It's a big shatter. It's good. And then good use of trance. One of the things that I see a lot of Zens be afraid of is actually, or not Zens, just supports in general, is just, you know, burning their support ults to keep people alive, to keep the fight going. That was well done. I want to see where Paper Sword goes here. So no discord. Stunned. Yeah, big kill. You're kind of lucky that the Rhine's swinging. So Rhine, when you're stuck in grab, don't swing besides maybe one to ensure a kill. Shield up. You need to block Brig stuns so you don't get Brig stunned. And that should be it. High charge. Ooh, no. I thought it was, but now... Yep, so he's getting no pressure. Doing quite well. Forcing back. So once that Rhine dies again, it's very difficult to push in. You don't have that same burst damage. All this armor, it's just impossible to get through without burst. Good. Discord N. I got on him again. Big shatter, but Discord should still be on him. Great eat. Ooh, was that predicted? I'm going to go back a little bit here. So let's kind of look at this. So it's kind of even. So now they're coming back at 6, so we're back at 6. So we don't have time to press forward. Armor pack good on the Rhine. Bubble. Don't like this bubble. But he keeps the shield up. Good. There's the Discord. Perfect Discord. Discord stays on him. That's good. That's what you want. This trance is keeping him up. Going even on the trance. Perfect. Clutch trance. Brilliant. Good eat right behind him. I love that. It looked predicted as well. That's a great grab eat. Beautiful. No follow-up. No charge either. Forcing them back. Big sound barrier. That's huge. Great charge. Huge charge. Gets him through. And that's it. That was very well done from everybody on that side. So let's go. So that was kind of a cluster at the very end. Testing eats the grab, which is fantastic. Just gonna watch it again. Oh, lovely. Right there. Perfect. I love that. Nothing to do. I like not being trigger happy on the charge here. Knowing you could die off of it. Swinging in. Bomb there. I don't even know how that bomb hits people. Is that the charge or... Regardless, very good from testing 8, like 4 grabs this match. He popped off for sure. The match released power and absolute huge sleeps over and over. Alright, well that was a really, really good round. Coming back from essentially what was nothing. Oh, goats versus goats. Woohoo! Woo! Woo! See, and actually, you know what? I am kind of memeing. I don't actually mind doing these kinds of review on goats because one of the things that this is valuable for is a lot of the mistakes that are being made are made by a lot of teams. So what you're going to learn here, everybody can use. Okay, so getting aggressive. I mean, really aggressive. Good. I don't like this rollout from Yes, and this is something we talked about with rollouts here. The value of goats is a lot of it is just on the point here, right? And we have all these corners that we can hide behind. Yeah, so here, 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 here. We can just kind of hide. They're going to have to press onto us, and they might even split themselves. I'd much rather the fight come this way and this way, right? That way you're both on the point. So this is a preferred rollout coming around that way. I prefer that if we're running goats. I would prefer that from Yes. So that's goats, goats. Yeah, see, everybody's just already so low. Very tough to come in. Yep, paper sort again. It's that Discord is coming in. It's so quick. And there's no grab. There's no grab. There's no bubble to really prevent it. It's tough. This is good. Aggressive. I like it. Yeah, see, the bubble's already out. Which means that Discord, now we can engage. There's an engage now. Right away with the bubble. Go. Ooh. Did red team use bubble? That's the question. Yeah, right there. Unnecessary bubble. If red team doesn't bubble here, this bubble, that means we can get engaged. But using bubble here means that you don't have an engage. Which means the Discord should come on your Rhine. He gets hyper low. And then he's going to get booped and killed. So the bubble usage is really the weakest aspect of what I'm watching. And it's not like I'm saying, oh, both of the off tanks or I guess hit scan DPS, whomever may be playing the Zarya. I'm not like, oh, they're really, really bad. It's an entirely different style of play than people are used to if you want to play goats. But if you can perfect your bubble usage and get it really tight, you're going to have a lot more luck. You're going to play better. Teams are going to get better. All right, so you want to press forward. Press forward. You don't want anybody behind you. Bubble to save you. And you can't engage, but there's a grab out. Is there a bomb? Ooh, nice. How did that work? Did you get a stun on the Rhine? No way. Let's stun the Rhine. Oops. I didn't see a stun on the Ryan. The Ryan didn't get stunned. I have no idea how that bomb worked, but that's a well done. Well done. He's asked for a couple sessions of individual review from either me or my assistant coach on improving his bubbles. It's just more the GOAT's specific bubbles. It's very, very difficult to get your body used to that. I don't fault people for that. Great combo. That's beautifully implemented. I love this. This is aggression. That's what you need. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is a little too aggressive, but I like it nonetheless. And you see, now there's that bubble use. So now you have about, I think it's what, 8 seconds where the enemy team has a free engage on you. Good move. Discord is on your Rhine. There's the bubble. You have to, and now you have to engage. See, we see that. Look at that. Look at that timing. Right? Ready? Bubble. Forward. Gone. It's gone by the time you're in. You don't have a chance to get value out of it. Great shatter block. And then punished. You're punished for it. Dude, what the fuck, testing? That's so good. I think really... Ooh, not bad. This definitely... I want to see if the Lucio's on speed here because... I don't believe the Lucio's... Oh, is he? Because he definitely needed to be on speed a little sooner to punish. Right here, Lucio needs to pop the speed on and go. Even quicker. Need to go on that discorded run. Hey, at least it got Stream Gangster. Shout out to you for picking that up. So testing, great eat again. Ooh, unfortunate on that. You're being pressed back really hard. Can, yes, come back from that. Yep, nope. Yeah, it discorded and just cooked. So one of the things I would suggest from maybe from like the casters or whomever's in charge, and it's probably not easy, but try to get aerial views of goats, because goats is really difficult to see who's doing what from a first person perspective. I would go for some aerial views. This was officially big from comms. Yeah, no, you gotta focus the target down on grabs and shatters. I really like this positioning though. This aggressive positioning from both teams has been really good. Alright, see, so you go around the corner. Not sure why we're backing off here. Did we lose a player? I see no reason to back off. No reason not to just be up here. Yeah, that's just like kind of a side thing. It's cool for me, but I think like, you know, obviously occasionally, yeah. Okay, so Discord on the run. Big shatter. Where's the follow-up? All right, so that was a good bubble. Testing with a good bomb, though a little off on the timing. If we look at this, Laser Blake hits it. Testing. Yeah, this one should just go up in the air here. So up high, bring it down, and our Rhine can carve through, and you get an easy, probably about 4K. Timing needs to be a little better. So usually you want to throw it in the air at the second your grab's coming down. Still gets value, but it's definitely off on the timing. It's a very close game. All right. All right, so we're going to be looking for a grab, just a grab. They have trance, but we're going to, when you're looking, by the way, when you're Reinhardt, you're in a grab, there is a trance. You're going to be looking for any of the squishies you can grab that you can one-shot with your pin. Good wall. Unfortunately, doesn't. Yo, it cut off the healing. Good. That was a really well done grab. Gonna be tough. Gonna be tough. Not gonna be possible. All right, that was a good game. Let me go back. I just kind of want to see that last fight, how that plays out, see if there's anything we can do on the side of yes to make that better. So we come on here, good. 9,000 IQ grab. That was a really smart grab. Ideally, right here, you don't have anything. I would just play around this corner. You want to prevent those walls, right? Anywhere you're around walls that you can get grabbed, maybe stick in the courtyard a little bit just to prevent that from being an option. Moving in. Trying to see. I can't really see the bubbles. Bubble there. It's unfortunate positioning from Zenyatta is really all it is. If the Zen was a little better positioned, they may survive off of it. Still a lot of ults to eat through. Good target focus there on the Rhine. But yeah, that seems to be it. Actually, so that was pretty good. That was actually a really awesome game. That was super close, super tight. Lots of good play back and forth. If I had to give... Oof. He said it happened to work out. He meant to grab the Zen, but it just happened to cut off the healing. Once he saw it, he called to focus. Very good call. Alright, I'm going to say, if I want to pick... Because I like doing this at the end of these things. Pick 2 people from each team that were really good, that I think were the MVPs on this match. Ryu, Steiner. Just in this map alone, both of them played really well. Steiner had some really good positioning that I liked. Ryu was very strong with his discords on the paper. It made it very hard for him to do anything. Then I'm going to go with Testing. 2 Gravites. Played very well. Could have done a little bit on eating like engages, but generally very good. Bombs were good. And then I'm going to go with Spook. Actually played very, very well in the Rhine 1v1. So I'd go Spook and Ryu, Steiner, and Testing. But keep an eye out for those two off supports, or those 2 supports. Very, very good. Very, very skilled. Okay, but that's actually going to be it, and that perfect. That's only a little over 2 hours, about 2.5 hours. That's good, a lot less than last time. Does anybody have any cursory final questions before we're all done, before we wait until next week? Anything on, Overwatch, any specific characters, comps, strats, anything about, high SR coaching, VOD reviews, anything like that. And just again, because I'm kind of a bitch, while I'm waiting for people to ask questions if they have them, again, top right, my Twitch, if you want to go follow, I'd appreciate it. You don't have to. I do coaching on that. I play a lot of comp right now until Overwatch League is going to be here, until I do like pro analysis that way. And, if I get sent... if I get sent a like a VOD, maybe I'll do a VOD review on stream, which I like to do, which are currently, if you want a VOD review, message me. If you want to do it on a stream, message me. But I would appreciate it if you followed and all of that stuff. I like doing this stuff, and, I like hanging out with people, play games with people, and all that good stuff. So, want to do that? Please do. If not, send questions and all that. Is Dive coming back? Yes, but not in the same way, I guess. It's like, so Dive is existing now as, it's like, currently we're in like a rock, paper, scissors, sort of, where you start with Goats, and then Goats gets curbed by 4 DPS comps, 4 Deeps, and then 4 Deeps gets curbed by Dive. Dive gets curbed by Goats. So that's kind of like where we're at right now. 4 DPS isn't every map. That's kind of like where the circle is. And with goats become less powerful, 4 DPS may become more viable, which means dive to counter 4 DPS will become more viable. It's all conjecture, and I don't really like to make speculations because you never know. Like, pros don't know, coaches don't, nobody knows until testing actually gets done and scrims happen. But it's kind of where I'd sit, you know, potentially, but not in the same way it used to be. I don't think it'll ever be the way it used to be. How would you explain the playstyle shift from old Shield Bash Brig to more support-oriented Brig? I would say patience until you pounce is what I would call it. With new Brig, you stick very close with your Rhine, or live Brig, stick very close with your Rhine, doing swinging damage to proc your Inspire, putting your armor pack on him, and then when he goes in deep to engage, then you unleash and go in deep with him. So being joined at the hip to your Rhine, as well as, you know, kind of floating on the back if you need to stun anybody. Stuff like that. So instead of being the aggressor where you could go aggress with a shield bash in, you need to stick with your Rhine and be the follower in the aggression. That's kind of how I would explain that. That's how I would go about it. So yeah, that's kind of how I would go. Are there any other questions? I'll make a big Q. Fuck. All right. Well, looks like there are no more questions. Nothing popping up in the chat. So I'm gonna finish up. That was a lot of fun. Short one, or shorter than it was before, but good amount of time. Had a good time. Thank you everybody who came in and watched. How do you avoid Diva being hungry? Oh, nice subscription, my dude. Twitch Prime Kappa. How do you avoid Diva being hungry? It's kind of a mind game. About, you know, does she have enough DM? It's hard. As a Zarya, you know, it's always aim for walls for your best option, so she has no way to eat them. But besides that, it's just kind of like, okay, one of the things that I do is your, your right click animation is the exact same as the grab animation. So your gun does the same thing. So one of the things, the tricks with divas is if you're using your beam and you stop, then they'll flick because you have to stop your beam before you can grab. It's the same with your right click. One of the things I'll do is if they know I have grab, I'll play a little of going aggressive side. Right click forces them to flash the DM. The second the DM goes down, I'll throw the grab. Because they have the second before they can pull the DM back up. So in that second, I flick. So I look like I'm going... I look like I'm going in. Right click to kind of juke them out. When I see the flash of DM, I wait till it goes away. Then I... boom. Why was Vitas benched, though? Vitas? I'm not familiar. Is he a player in the Owlet? Yeah, I'm not familiar with all the players. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I wish I could. But yeah, that'll be it for me. I appreciate everybody who came out, asked questions. I'll be back next week, probably the same time, with a different VOD to look at. And I'm not really sure what the first hour is going to be. If anybody has any suggestions on things they'd be interested in talking about and discussing, please send them my way on Discord. You can find me in any of in the Owlet Discord. Just find my name. Send me a Discord. I'd be super interested to know because I always like to get ideas from people to hear what they'd want to hear about. But besides that, thanks for watching, and I'll be back again, Twitch in the top right, and come back next week for more. So I will Be gone.